Hey guys, it's Trinity Volk here, and today we're back with the second part of the Mortal Kombat 1 post-mortem critique series thing, whatever you want to call it. And we're on 2 out of 3 now, and the title of the video is obvious, and if you know me, then you probably know that I was going to make a video talking about this anyway. But we got to talk about damage output in fighting games for a little bit in general. So this is a NRS problem just as a whole. This is a trademark of their games that I think does not add anything positive to the experience, except maybe on like a kind of dopamine level for like semi-casuals. I think that damage in NRS games in general is way too fucking high. And I especially think in MK1 it was way too high, way too high. So ironically, one of the big things I liked about MK11, one of the very few things, was how low damage on average was. Like in MK11, damage was like medium to like medium high, or like it was like low to medium high, I would call it. The only way you were hitting like over 50% was like the one-time resource of a crushing blow combined with certain variation moves combined with the fatal blow, for example. And I think that matters quite a bit here because I don't even know how to start going more into this, but it's like that was one thing I did like about the game, though. I liked that the damage was lower on average, and it felt like you had more chances to potentially outplay somebody, right? Now, that doesn't at all compensate for what MK11's other issues were. But that is one of the things about the game that was good. MK1 goes back to a more classic style of NRS damage output and damage economy. And brother, MK1 doesn't even have a damage economy. This shit is like, this is the fucking Wall Street crash of '89, brother. That's what it is. It's the fucking Wall Street crash of the '80s. And I want to explain why this matters, right? So, in MK, or modern NRS MK, your fastest option is your stand one, and it's consequently, on paper, it's your weakest, right? All the other buttons do more damage than stand one. However, the damage that you get from just a jab alone in NRS games is cracked. And this was one thing MK11 did well, in that MK11 gated you a lot of times from getting damage from a jab that was high unless you spent the meter on it. Right? Now, there were people I talked to who knew behind the scenes shit or even worked on the game who said way back, this was like a year prior to the game even coming out when it was being worked on, these are like testers, etc., that the game was taking more of a Street Fighter-esque approach, and that was one of the, when someone told me that, and then when I played MK11 and saw it, that was one thing that immediately spoke out to me. So like if I played Scorpion, all I could do with Scorpion was my 1-1-2, which with smoke would be like this. So all I could do with Scorpion is this, and then if I wanted damage, I had to spend a bar to actually get a full combo. And with Scorpion, by the way, my full combo I got didn't do even that much. I think it did like 28 or 29%. I can't remember. So that was a good dynamic. So the problem is they kind of went back on this with MK1, and they went back to meterless combos being freely accessible off of almost any hit, and the damage is high. So Scorpion's 1-1-2 did like 120 something damage. I think it was like 125, right? Well, if smoke jabs you, it's 350 damage. So why does this matter? Like, why does this matter? Because a lot of people think if you fuck up at all in any way that you should always die, right? That you should just eat shit and die. You got hit, you got clipped, whatever, stop complaining, blah, blah, blah. So, the thing is, I used to be a eat shit and die for your mistakes kind of guy back during MK11, right? But I've realized that it's not that simple. Especially because fighting games, this recent round of fighting games that we've gone through, trended toward making, like, especially Oki really simple and automated on top of having high damage. And this is like the big problem with Street Fighter 6 right now, is even with Street Fighter having its foundational aspects of like light damage being low, etc., hits in Street Fighter are too momentous. And part of that is because of the damage, and it's the same in NRS games. The reason that we keep complaining that defense is not good enough in NRS games, especially NRS MKs, is because of the fact you're eating shit tons of damage for the fastest options in the game. It just is a universal constant. And that is something that NRS has got to change about their game design, in my opinion. I'm not saying remove the combos. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be, under specific circumstances, able to kill somebody, maybe even off of a jab. But there has to be more limitations, and there has to be more specificity to what you do to get that damage and power. I don't think I should be hitting for this much damage off of a simple jab with any character in any fighting game, period. I think that's just crazy. And the reason this also matters is because NRS kind of retroactively justifies a lot of the more shit-headed gameplay things that we don't like under the guise of this high damage average. When I could tell you, a lot of people would much rather would have like lower amounts of damage and have more deliberate, precise gameplay instead of what we have now. Especially when a lot of that YOLO, like, scrambly gameplay MK is known for still results in sometimes you losing even with you having that high damage output as a punishment option. Sometimes it's just that you just get flooded, right? And it doesn't feel good. So I don't know what you do about this, but the only thing I can think of is I don't want them to remove combos from jabs. I said that during MK11 because that was the dynamic at the time, was that you didn't get combos unless you spent resources off a jab. That was one of the things I wanted them to keep from MK11 that I liked. But if they're not going to do that with this game or the next MK, if they're going to maintain meterless combo ability off of any hit, that's fine, but the damage does have to come way down. So what does that even mean when I say that, right? Well, this is gonna sound harsh, but I think let me run the percentage number here real fast. Let me just figure this out. Just give me a second. I'm gonna run the numbers on something here. So I'm doing this combo. So I'm using maximum health possible as my reference point, right? So let's just say, let's look at what percentage 350 is of 1200. So the answer I get obviously is like 35%, right? So then I'm going to take that number, 350. So I would cut all the damage all of it, at least in combos, combo damage. I would cut all combo damage by 50%. So what would that mean? What would that look like? That would mean, instead of me doing 353.63, hold on. That would be 176.81. That is what the damage average should be in this game. In any game. And I'm talking with combos. As far as strings go, string damage remains unaltered. That's fine. Because you could still have, like, maybe your string, instead of doing your combo, maybe your string has a unique property that gives you, like, a better knockdown or something. But right now, just doing the combo instead of finishing the string gives you any and all the benefits and no strategic consideration whatsoever. On top of the way it adds to, like, the scrubby kind of snowballing manner of, like, modern NRS games, right? So, that's what I think personally. I think that they should cut all the damage by 50%. You can have all the cameo stuff in this game, all the crazy, like, scrubby stuff. Here's the thing. If you cut the damage in the manner in which I'm saying, then I am telling you, even with the flaws that this game has with the cameo system, it would be so much better competitively. If T1000 was doing literally like 8% for a command grab combo, it would be so much better and more tolerable, because he would have to be right so many more times, right? Like, the damage is just too damn high, bro. It's just too high. So I want to switch over to talk more about this. I'm gonna cut this part of the video, and we're gonna switch over to City of the Wolves, which is what I've been playing lately, and I want to really demonstrate that, because I think that game handles its damage output very well. Alright, we're back. So, here we are, we're on Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. So, I play Andy Bogard in this game, and Andy Bogard in this game plays a very similar kind of playstyle to Smoke, in that he's this highly mobile optioned, fundamental-esque Shoto character with some mixed-up potential, but especially some very high damage output off of, like, most given hits, right? But you're gonna see that is still drastically nerfed compared to an NRS game. So let's look at what a jab gets you in City of the Wolves, right? So I can either do triple light punch into my elbow. So basically it's 12%. That's my reward for a jab. Okay. Now I have another option in combo. I can do light punch, light kick into, this is basically Tatsu. Right? So I get 12% to restand, or I get 14% into knockdown, basically. So the thing is, though, this is all I can do. I can't do anything more powerful than that except a super. So I can do level 1. I can do level 2. And I can do level 3.
This is the end for you!
Now, as you can see, for lights, those are really powerful damage spikes, right? Like, that makes sense, but they're gate-kept behind, I have to either have one or two of my super bars, or I have to have my hidden gear, which is my level 3, which is lodged behind the SPG range. Which is, I'm not going to go into that, because that's like specific to this game. But the damage output, consequently, is way lower. This means that the opponent and you can take more minor risks, right? even unsafe risks to kind of feel each other out, and that makes the game more interesting. Instead of, I'm going to hit you, I'm going to do 30% plus meterless, and I'm going to get like an optimal knockdown Oki situation on top of it. So, and that is another thing. In this game, your whites do not give you Oki or set play for the most part. Like, I do get a good knockdown off of this, but Garo has a couple of things here. That, first of all, Garo has short and far back and forward roll. And just like an MK11, you can get blown up for running like predictable Oki or whatever off of this, right? So that's another thing about this game is you do not get good knockdowns to help you deal or option select any of the roll options on top of invincible reversals off of a jab. It's just not possible. The game is never going to let you have it. Unless you are in SPG range, in which case then I can do something like this. In which case I get a true hard knockdown, as you can see. It's a plus 63 hard knockdown, okay? So there is that, but I have to be within this specific range on my health bar. I'll try to explain it real quick, but basically SPG is a buff state that you get into that is like what a lot of fighting games do now, where you're near low health, where you're near death, but you get to choose where you want your buff to be. So you could be in SPG range from round start. You could choose to have it in the middle of your health bar, or you could choose to have it in the ending of your health bar, like a traditional combat mechanic. And in SPG, you gain this move called Rev Flow. And Rev Flow is armored, but most importantly, it is the only source of a hard knockdown in the entire game. Unless, like a grappler or some other character-specific thing. But this is the only way I can actually like get some kind of real set play, real powerful Oki scenario. That is the only way I can do it. So, this is obviously this presents a way different dynamic from like what we have in MK, right? Because in MK, all you have is long and short delay, or you do an armor move on wake up, and that's it. And on every single one of those scenarios, two of them just results in you holding more pressure or momentum, and the third one potentially gets you killed. So, like, save the fact that I do wish MK had more defensive options, you can still see it would still be a lot more tolerable to play the game if you were taking much less damage per hit, right? It wouldn't feel as uninteractive, you wouldn't be getting snowballed as hard. And it does matter, because the lower damage you have per hit, the, especially like resourceless or for barely an investment, the more chances you have to download your opponent. There's more back and forth in the fighting game. Now, that doesn't mean in a game like City of the Wolves that I can't absolutely fuck up somebody. I definitely can, but I have to do certain things. Like with Andy, if I want to get my actual sizable damage, like you would see in an MK game, or you would see even in like Street Fighter 6, first I have to be close. I have to hit closed heavy kick. I have to feint cancel closed heavy kick. Have down the closed heavy kick, crouching medium punch, or crouching heavy punch, feint cancel link down. I have to do that into a heavy Tatsu, break the Tatsu, break cancel the Tatsu. Then I have to do 3 EXs in a row. Okay. Oh, like I really want to rub this in here. 3 EXs in a row. And then I have to do level 2. Let me hit this real quick. there I get my big damage, right? So it's not that I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to absolutely kill people, but there needs to be, in NRS games, there needs to be more gatekeeping high damage. Like, you need to have to, like, really dump resources or something to get damage into, like, the 30-40 percentile ranges. So, I don't know. I don't know what you do, but I do know that it would make the games, in general, a lot better if you did what I just showed. If you nuked the damage by, like, 50% across the entire board for everything, things would be so much better. In my opinion. Now, you can maybe allow for, if I spend 2 or 3 bars, then yeah, maybe I'll let you get 50% off a jab, but not like 1 bar off a jab into like fail blow. That's too much. But I really think that NRS needs to consider their damage economy in their game. They need to reconsider it, and they need to think about, like, they either need to make your defensive options very powerful and make it very hard to lock down somebody, or they need to have their damage be much less than it currently is. It's a big problem in their game design, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, that's all I gotta say here. Let me know what you guys think about this. I will be uploading the next video soonish, but I'm probably going to do videos relating to other games. I want to make a Street Fighter 6 video and a couple of other things. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys soon.